And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Donovan Live Postgame Show on this Wednesday evening. I'm Dave DeNatale alongside Jimmy Donovan.
Good to be with you, Dino.
Good to be with you. Now, there is, right before I came back to the station this evening, I was over at Hofbrauhaus. I got to tell you this. So, a lot of things I learn when I go around Cleveland. Apparently, the first Wednesday of every month, they tap a new keg at Hofbrauhaus right over on Chester.
Sounds good.
It is.
Why not?
It is. So, by a confluence of a couple of things, I was asked to be the celebrity keg tapper. So I'm getting set up. Here's where you come in, and then we actually have video of this. So I was interviewing Dennis Felton, the head coach of Cleveland State.
Sure.
He was over there doing his radio show with our friend Al Pulowski, our colleague Al Pulowski. So as I'm doing this and I'm getting done.
Hang on just a second.
Yes.
Was that Al Pulowski or was it the great Al Pulowski?
The great Al Pulowski.
Right. There's a lot of Al Pulowskis walking around, a lot lot of people dressed up as Al Pulowski. But you were with the great Al Pulowski?
Yes, the legitimate Al Pulowski.
Good.
Yeah, so as I'm getting ready to do this, I finish up with Coach Felton, getting ready to do this, people saw that I worked at Channel 3, I had the microphone, and all of a sudden I get calls going, "Where's Donovan? Where's Donovan? Is Donovan here?" Now, I like to think with my, that people are assuming that because they see me on this show with Jimmy, that naturally Jimmy's going to be there. Of course, it was 7 o'clock. Jimmy's doing the whole TV show thing at the time. So I thought it was hysterical that people were asking for you.
Well, that's very nice.
That was nice.
Great.
That was nice.
Yeah.
So then came the parade. So all of a sudden now it's 7 o'clock, and here's
now I'm
the parade.
Liking this parade.
Yeah.
The parade we talked about last night, I'm kind of not into.
This was an honor to be in this parade.
Wow, look at this.
Yeah,
this is great.
So you've got the polka band leading the way there. I mean, and they're getting everybody into it. And then you have the trumpet player, and then there's the beer. And then, I'm
there
following
you
the
are.
beer.
Yeah, there
and
you are.
I'm armed with my heavy-duty mallet and the keg tapper.
Wow.
I mean, Jimmy, it's a happening. I mean, people are standing up and cheering, and I'm sitting there going, "Wow, this is amazing." So, this goes on for a couple of moments because it's a pretty big restaurant. It's a big restaurant.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, they call me to the stage.
All right.
There I am, and I'm they actually prepped me on how to do this. And they're like, don't mess it up.
I have to be honest with you, Dino. This is like a scene out of Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
I mean, right?
Really
when
is.
Garcon is in the beer hall.
All right, so here's the pressure on it. Everybody's watching. All right, and I'm narrating this because we were going to do it on Facebook Live. You can see me here now. Here I go. Randy White tells me we're ready. So there we go. You got to tap it right. So, okay, we're ready. Give it a little tap there, and then the big one. That's... I probably didn't need to hit it 5 times. I think I only needed to hit it like once.
And we're ready to go.
And they said ready to go. Perfect. I was told it was a perfect tap. And they gave me, I got the first beer of the
And how was it? Was it good?
It was excellent.
All right.
I think it was Schwartz beer. Yeah, so there you go.
There it is.
Yeah,
yes.
there it is.
Wow.
So, fantastic experience. Thanks to everybody at Hofbrauhaus. Also, thanks to everybody at Cleveland State for arranging it. It was a lot of fun.
It looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, you know what? I remember when it opened, they came on. Well, they didn't come on. We did a live broadcast. They were at the Hofbrauhaus, and the place was pandemonium. Yeah. So just on sheer electricity, I mean, it seemed like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
Good
they
for
really
you.
take it into it. So that was a lot of fun. I really got a kick out of that. Last night when we were here, we obviously spent a lot of time talking about the Browns, and with good reason. But something else was going on last night that was very interesting sports-wise, and that was Isaiah Thomas's debut as a member of the Cavaliers. And, for all the talk that, he's going to play 8 to 12 minutes, they just really want to bring him in slowly. He was out there 19 minutes and scored 17 points in his first game.
And I think very early when he first came in, it might have been his first bucket, he drove to the hoop,
and
scored, got fouled, and landed on his hip.
Right.
I mean, you're going, please, do not make this an Andrew Bogut moment.
Yeah, exactly.
But he got up. He wants to play, and he's not playing tonight in the game against Boston because it's back-to-back. Plus, I mean, there'd be a lot of motivation there. There's a lot of friction there between, and I'm not talking about Kyrie and LeBron.
No.
I'm talking about Isaiah Thomas and Danny Ainge, the general manager of the Celtics. There's a lot of raw feelings about how that trade went down and why he was traded. He was shocked that he was traded. He was devastated that he was traded. I mean, he was happy, to come here.
Right.
But, I mean, he thought that he was going to get a max deal from the Celtics. So he's not playing tonight, but I thought he was terrific last night. I mean, he's terrific. It's going to be very interesting to see, because it's going to take time to see how that all meshes together.
That gels.
Yep.
I noticed the first thing was suddenly, and you can see, by the way, we've got plenty of coverage of Isaiah Thomas's first game. Ben Axelrod was out there last night, and just go to WKYC.com and check it out. Thomas's presence immediately made Jay Crowder more active in the game. Crowder had one of his best games as a Cavalier.
Yeah, of course, they know each other from the
exactly.
Celtics,
So that there was that chemistry there, that just kind of knowing each other. And it led me to wonder, though, this is really going to be a test. And, of course, it means January, you're going to have bumps, bruises. It's a long season. But this is going to really test Tyronn Lue's ability to manage the lineups and distribute, minutes to guys.
Yeah. You're right. It will. And, of course, you can do that right now, and you can dole out minutes, and you can pull back minutes from guys because – you can say to yourself, it's January, like you just mentioned, and you don't want to risk a bad injury. You don't want to be lethargic in April and May once the playoffs begin. You want to be really fresh, and that's a tricky thing. I mean, there have been times, go back the year the Cavs beat Golden State in the seventh game. Golden State all season long chased that win total, the record by the Bulls. They won 73, 73 games, and they played right up until the last game of the regular season. They didn't pull back at all. They went into the playoffs, and they got nicked. Curry had a bad ankle, or a bad knee, and they had other guys that were kind of banged up, and it was because they were full throttle chasing that record when maybe they should have pulled back a little bit more and shaved some minutes off their starters, total as they headed, down the wire in the regular season. So you're right. That's going to be interesting. I get the impression Isaiah Thomas likes to play, though.
Yes.
Okay, and it might be tough to take minutes away from him. He was a little bit impatient. I think he was disappointed that he didn't play a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I think he wanted that Christmas Day game.
There you go.
Yeah.
Certainly the game after that, maybe, in Sacramento, and the game in Utah. And they kind of held back. I think they wanted him to play at home. And that's going to be interesting now because, you're dealing with an injury, that was... a lot of people thought very, very bad. Took a long time to recoup that. He didn't have the surgery. Okay? So you want him to be, ready to go. The other thing, though, to give him the minutes, I think it's going to be very important. And I know you're probably taking minutes away from Wade and guys like that. But, I mean, Dwayne Wade knows. He knows the routine. He knows what he has to do to get ready. But the other thing is he is going to need his minutes, and they're going to need minutes with him to kind of figure out how to play with him.
What are the best matchups? By the way, again, this is an interactive show. Questions, comments, etc. Post them up there for us, and David Herviton will check that out, and we'll get to that at the end of the show. Thanks to everybody yesterday, by the way. Had a great time with that.
I know you've been tapping the keg, and we've been talking about a number of things. But there have been some declarations now for the NFL. Sam Darnold is leaving USC. He has declared that he's going to make himself available for the NFL draft. Josh Rosen is definitely coming out. He's made himself available for the NFL draft. Saquon Barkley, of course, already said he was coming out, but he picked his agent. His agent is Jay-Z.
Rock Sports.
Same agency, I think, that represents Hugh Jackson.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I'll double check that, but I think
Hugh's
you're right.
agent is a guy, John Thornton, that played in Cincinnati. He was a big defensive player there. I think John Thornton played at West Virginia in college. So that's Hugh's, rep, but I think that's in that firm. Anyway, so the quarterbacks are coming out.
So the quarterback, the quarterbacks.
And the kid from Wyoming had already declared.
Now, correct me if I'm. Rosen was an underclassman, and so is Darnold. But Allen can play in the Senior Bowl. Is that correct?
I don't, I'm not sure about that, Dino. I thought that
one of them is going to one of the quarterbacks.
Well, Mayfield's going.
Okay,
yeah, I think Allen is a junior.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I think he's making himself.
Then somebody was going, but the Senior Bowl is going to. I
might be wrong.
I might be wrong. Yeah. I know, but the Senior Bowl is going to be interesting because that's when we start to really get our first look at some of these guys. That we're going to be really focused on, and then it's the combine when everybody looks good in shorts and everything. But like I said, I mean, this is going to be this off season. I think we've had a lot of these, but because it's the first and fourth pick, because it's a new general manager, and because we're talking quarterbacks, there's going to be so much hype surrounding this between now and the end of April. I mean, it's
well, the other thing too is, and I'm not promoting this, but it's just going to be the way of the world and the way the NFL draft is, that when you have picks 1 and 4, you're going to get a lot of telephone calls.
Yes.
Because you're controlling the top of the draft, and really, in a lot of ways, the Browns are controlling the first 2 rounds of the draft with those 5 picks, okay? Because they have the 3 in the second round. So you're going to get a lot of telephone calls. Maybe at number 1.
Right.
But certainly at number 4,
right.
Someone's going to say they're going to target a player and they're going to call you, and then we're going to get a real read on what John Dorsey is going to do. Now, Sashi Brown and Paul DePodesta and those people, and to some extent Ray Farmer, they like to trade down and keep acquiring picks. And, that, as you can remember on our draft show last year, that agitated me a little bit when they traded out of the 12 hole.
Yeah, I hated it.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I think that sometimes you got to stay in there. You got to make the pick. You got to go get the player instead of keep accumulating these picks. Mm-hmm. My partner, Doug Deacon, always says, and I don't think Doug will be upset if I say this, if you keep trading down and accumulating picks, you're trying to buy time.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Well, I'm tired of buying time. I mean, we've only won 1 game in the last 2 years. It's time to pick players.
Right.
Okay?
And good players.
So unless it's a deal that knocks your socks off, why not pick at 1 and 4?
Right.
Why not get 2 great players at 1 and 4?
Because to your point, all right, let's just kind of put our crystal ball in play. Let's say, okay, Browns take a quarterback first overall. We know the Giants are going to take a quarterback probably. I mean, you might see quarterbacks go 1-2, Darnold, Rosen, or whatever. All of a sudden, you're at 5 or 6, and you're really concerned that you're not going to be able to draft a quarterback. You're going to miss out on all those guys. All of a sudden, you get a little bit anxious and antsy to move up 2, 3, 4, 5 spots.
Yeah.
And that's when you miss out on guys. I mean, or if you go from like 4 to 13, that's when you miss. It's like
you miss out on Julio Jones.
You miss out on Julio Jones.
Yeah.
You miss out on Joey Bosa. You miss out on Ezekiel Elliott.
And here's another that adds some validity to what you're saying, is that the reason why the Browns can command a lot if somebody went after, for instance, let's use the number 4 pick as the model. They take somebody at number 1. Okay. Now they're at number 4. And as Dino says, now maybe the draft, at 2 and 3, those picks are made, but somebody from the back wants to get up to number 4. Now the reason the Browns could probably command a lot is because let's go back to last year. When the Browns didn't take Mitch Trubisky at number 1, and a lot of people said, well, they'll try and get back up to 5,
right,
where Tennessee was, because Tennessee doesn't need a quarterback. They have Marcus Mariota. Well, in dealing with the Browns need everything.
Right.
Okay? So, I mean, they can pick anybody.
Right.
I mean, really, at number 4, I mean, could they get a defensive back? Yes, hopefully they would. Could they get a running back?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Could they get an offensive lineman, the best offensive lineman?
Why
not? Yeah. So they need everything. Mm-hmm. So that's why, teams are going to say, well, geez, to make a deal with Cleveland, we're going to have to really arm ourselves with an attractive package, because the Browns are not out of the picture at any position. Right.
Yeah. I mean, the Browns need everything. I mean, it used to be, we always used to say, well, everything but a left tackle. Well,
you might need a left tackle.
You might need a left tackle now. I mean, and it's probably, even if Thomas comes back, you'd be smart to start thinking about drafting a replacement in the future.
Absolutely.
Start to think about that.
You're right.
David Herviton, front and center. What do you got for us? There are a lot of questions, comments coming in here on Facebook Live.
Actually, not that many comments tonight. Quiet group. But Dan says, reports someone just sold Peyton Manning a home in Cleveland. I think we need our verified team on this, but
yeah, I know. You get Danielle Serino to check that out for us.
We've had Bill Cower buying homes.
Yeah, and there's still that house in Strongsville that he bought. I go with what Jimmy Haslam said. I think it was early December that I think for Peyton Manning, it's still a question of do I really want to do this? There's interest, but do you really want to roll back your sleeves, move your family somewhere? Give up a lot of your lucrative endorsements that he still gets, even though he's retired, and run an NFL franchise, as a director of operations or as a president of operations. I don't know if the heart's there yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's the time. I really don't. I mean, I think he could go anywhere he wanted to. I think really a lot of organizations would love to have him. And I think this organization would love to have him on a personal level and on a professional level because the Haslams are friendly with Peyton Manning and his family. And, and I think just the professional aspect, I mean, he's a brilliant football mind. He's an upstanding guy. And, he could turn your franchise around. And it would be a wonderful PR move.
Yes.
Okay, to do that. But I think at some point he is going to do it. I think at some point he is going to be part of an ownership group or come in and take over and run a team, the John Elway type of plan. But I don't think he's there yet. I mean, he's just out of the game. What, a year?
Yeah.
And I just don't think that he's there yet because you would be jumping right back into it. And this is a guy that just doesn't kind of dabble in it. I mean, he goes all in when he's going to go in on something, whether he's preparing to play in a game or preparing to send his team in to play a game. I mean, he's very consumed. He's very, very prepared. If he's writing a script for the ESPYs, he's involved.
Prepared,
I mean, he's prepared.
Anything else there, Herb?
Yeah, one just came in. Dawn wants to know, not our Dawn, another Dawn.
Yeah.
She wants to know, who do you think they will take as the #1 pick?
Well, I think one thing you have to watch, and it's going to be before the draft, what do they do in the way of getting a veteran quarterback to come in here? And are they going to trade, or are they going to go out, spend a lot of money in free agency? No matter who you get, the quarterback position is going to command a pretty high salary. They have a lot of money to spend.
Right.
So what they do in the way of who they bring in here as a veteran quarterback, because I think that is definitely going to happen and should have happened last year, but last year's gone. Got to happen next year. Then I think you would find what the next step is. Say they got Kirk Cousins. Okay, just throw that out there. I don't know that they would draft a quarterback at #1.
I don't think they would. I think the first round would be off the table then. I think they'd say, okay, we've got Cousins, we've got Kaiser, and maybe we'll get somebody else we can develop.
And I really do believe that Kaiser fits in to the plan because of all the work they put into Kaiser this year. He played a ton of football for a rookie quarterback. And the other thing is, the other scenario, do they trade? If they trade and they get Alex Smith, that's the most talk.
Right.
Maybe they do take a quarterback then at #1. Maybe he's just a bridge, as we talked about last night.
Or A.J. McCarron. What else you got, David?
We have one more that just came in. It is from a young man named Sean, who I think I may know, but he might work here.
Well, he may, maybe.
Yeah, he asks, who are your sleepers in this year's draft that could or should be drafted in the first round?
Well, I think
Go ahead, Jimmy. I have a thought on this.
The position of running back has been taboo in the past, not so much right now, but in the past it's been taboo to take a running back in the first round, and it's been considered ludicrous to take a running back up high in the draft. Okay, now Trent Richardson became the poster boy for that logic because he was such a disappointment for the Browns and the Colts and wherever else he went after that, and wherever else he is right now.
CFL.
Yeah, everywhere he's been. Okay, bust, no doubt about it. But in recent times now, Ezekiel Elliott, Melvin Gordon,
Todd Gurley,
these guys have been drafted in the first round, considerably high, and they have turned teams around very, very quickly. This is a pretty deep draft, I think, as far as running backs are concerned. But boy, I got to tell you, that kid from Penn State, Saquon Barkley, would be worth taking a long, hard look at by the Browns because He's everything, I think.
Yeah.
He really is.
He's a playmaker.
He's a great
playmaker.
kid, and I think he's a playmaker. Yeah. And, I think that you have to take a look at him if you're going to run the football and run it effectively. I don't think that Isaiah Crowell is coming back here.
I don't either. Just another thought. The Browns have been allergic over the years, really since Brian Robisky, of taking an Ohio State player at any level,
Absolutely.
like in the top 3 rounds. And it's not just because, again, we're in Cleveland and a lot of us are Ohio State fans. I mean, Ohio State, Urban Meyer has a football factory in Columbus that produces players who are ready for the NFL. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, there have been no shortage of top-notch players that have come out over the last 3-4 years, let's say, that the Browns have just avoided. I would say, I don't know if they're sleepers, but if I'm the Browns, I would think about, if the guy, if you can draft a guy like Billy Price early in the 2nd round, let's say, and I don't know if he'll be there, but, I'll take the best center in the draft and move Treader over to guard or something. I'd figure out a way to get top-notch Buckeyes to go with the players I've got. Why not? They seem to play well in the NFL.
They do. You're right. They do. The Steelers certainly, love them a great deal and have done very, very well with them. I know Ryan Shazier has a very serious injury, but Cameron Hayward is a tremendous player for them, and there have been others too. Boy, I sure would have liked to have seen Michael Thomas. Play for the Browns, and now he's having a great career in New Orleans with Drew Brees. And we are so thin and lacking in the position of wide receiver, and Corey Coleman has not delivered the way that you expected him to as a first-round pick coming out of Baylor. You're right. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the thinking is with Ohio State players. I really do believe that they liked the safety last year, Hooker, but again, they traded out of that pick, and then Hooker was gone.
And they took the second best or third best safety.
I mean, no slam on Peppers, but I have to tell you, I mean, Hooker was clearly, a very, very special player.
Indianapolis is another team that seems to love Buckeyes. I mean, they have Jack Mewhort, they have Hooker. I mean, they had Michael Doss in the past. I mean, it's just, again, it's just something to watch for as draft boards start to be projected, and we see a lot of mock drafts out there. Just see if any Buckeyes are linked to the Browns. Last thing, and back to the NBA for a second. I just wanted to add one more Cavs question for you. As you watch, the Cavs are now starting really a 6-game road trip now tonight in Boston, and we're about a month or so away from the trading deadline, a month and a half or so. Is Tristan Thompson to you an odd man out right now in the way that, and I know he's just getting back from injury, but I don't know if they thought that Kevin Love was going to play as well at the center position as he's playing.
Sure. Yeah.
And I wonder what his future, and I know he's got a long-term max deal, and I understand all that, but I just wonder what his future in this rotation is.
Well, he did not play well in the playoffs last year.
No.
Okay, and until he played well, and it was only one game, in the finals, they didn't win.
No.
Okay, I mean, when they were behind 3-0 in that series and looking like they were going to get swept, I mean, Tristan Thompson was invisible.
Right.
So I don't know what the problem is there. It's an interesting point. You don't hear a lot about him right now. I think when he does play well, and if he, in the year before he really played well,
indeed.
And they won the title, I think that I would like to think that when he plays the way he is capable of playing, they need him, and that is an important guy to have. The playoffs are more physical.
Yep.
They're called a different way. You must rebound. You cannot get just, wiped out on the glass.
Right.
I still think on Christmas Day they got hurt on the backboards, on the glass, and that's an area you can talk about pace of game.
Yeah.
But Golden State's breaks start because they're good off the board.
Right.
And they get to the ball and they get great position. And it's not that they're tall or anything like that. It's that they get position, they get a great break on it, and then they get that fast break going, and then the problems start. But it really initiates off the glass. And you're right. I mean, but I would like to think that he is a lost guy right now. But you're right. He does. He is invisible right now. You don't hear a great deal about him.
Yeah, we're keeping our eyes on that. All right. Also, keep your eyes at WKYC.com. David's, I just noticed having up school closings. It's cold out there. It is going to get colder. It's going to be frigid tonight. It's going to be frigid tomorrow morning. Schools have already called off. So keep your eyes, again, on our eye alert at WKYC.com. Keep the animals warm, Jimmy.
I do.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Yeah, they are warm. Farm. Yep, they are bundled up. They are great. They're sometimes I think they live as well, if not better, than I do. I really do.
That's right. Well,
So to Sevilla and Lucy out there,
yes,
those are the names of the horses. Boy, the baby Jesus. If the baby Jesus had what Sevilla and Lucy have, I'll tell you what, times would have been different. Times would have been different in Bethlehem.
That's right. All right, everyone. Again, stay warm tonight, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. For Jim Donovan and our great producer-director, David Herberton, I'm Dave DeNatale. Thanks for watching WKYC's Facebook Live, the Donovan Live Postgame Show.